Great.
Because the thing has said that we're live.
Wonderful.
Let me just refresh.
And I'm going to go ahead and start recording. If you also want to put the link on the Wish Alliance Facebook page, that would be great.
Yeah, I will.
Okay, are you ready?
We are live.
Okay.
We are live.
Yay! Hello, everyone. So good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Conscious Awakening series. I'm your host, Sheila Seppi. I'm here with my co-host, Swain. This is her last night with us. We're coming to the end of a beautiful, beautiful month. And for those of you who are not familiar with Karen, she is a teacher of Teachers for New Earth. She's the founder of the Accentuate the Positive media. So check her out. Go to her Facebook page, Karen Swain. And Karen, if you'll put all your contact information in the chat, because people will be able to access that, that would be awesome. So tonight, we have a special guest with us, Jane Elworthy, and she is going to talk with us about her experience of discovering that she was an ancient temple drummer, and she has brought a lot of this beauty and technique with her through to this lifetime. And so she's going to share a little bit of that with us in just a few moments. But what I'd like to do right now is I want to share my screen with you. And I want to bring up the upcoming events that we have happening on Portal to Ascension. Wow, there's a lot of stuff open here. So let's go ahead and pull this up. This is Karen's page right here, ATP Media. This is on her YouTube channel, so you can also check her out there. And if you haven't subscribed already, please do so and like. And what I'd like to do right now is bring you to the Wish Alliance's website. You can check us out at wishalliance.org. You can sign up for our bi-weekly meetings on Monday and Thursday nights simply by coming here and subscribing. Then we always list some of our upcoming events. This Thursday night, we have on our Cosmic Conversations, Phil Gruber, Marina Serene, Geraldine Orozco, and Tia Ashkra. And this will be a phenomenal event. It starts at 6 p.m. Mountain Time. And then I'm already promoting our August event. This is our hybrid conference called Anchoring Higher Consciousness for August 27th, 28th. You can go to our site to read more about that. And then our partner, Portal to Ascension, has a couple events coming up. You can check them out at portaltoascension.org. You can also click on any of these photos on our page to go to the sign up page and to find out more information, like this event coming up, Heal the Divine. That will be Tuesday, June 7th. It is a free event, so please click on it, check it out. This is another free event coming up, Deepening Connections with the Law of Creation. This is a 4-part series. And then we have Phil Gruber presenting the Feast Day of Mary Magdalene. That's Friday, July 22nd. So you can check that out. Also, our other partner with us is with Alan Steinfeld and New Realities. So I want to give him a shout out and thank him and Neil, because they always will repost all of the events and meetings that we have here on their YouTubes. So right now, what I'd like to do is to stop sharing my screen, and I want to come back because Susie is with us tonight, and she is going to start us off with a beautiful song. Thank you, Susie.
Well, for those of you in this country, it's Memorial Day, and we honor the veterans, fallen veterans, but I don't really like war that much, but I thought I'd sing to all of the spiritual veterans, not just fallen ones, those that have gone before us, but those that have carried space for us for a long time, like Barbara Lamb. And our presenter tonight I said she's been doing this for 30 years. I've been doing this for 53 years. We need some of us veterans. So this song is for us, okay? It's the battle of the ages. Gaia's army is exceedingly great. It's just a minute. It's the battle of the ages. Gaia's army is exceedingly great. It's the battle of the ages. In the armor we are arrayed. And Gaia utters her voice before her army. Surely her camp is very great. Strong are we as we manifest the truth. Strong are we as we manifest the truth. We rush on the cities, we leap on the walls, we run into the houses, and we enter in the windows like a thief in the night. Before us, the earth quakes, and Gaia utters her voice before her army. Surely her camp is exceedingly great. Strong is she who carries out the truth. Strong are we as we carry out the truth.
Oh, wow.
Yay.
Thank you so much.
Love you guys.
That was absolutely amazing. Those words were phenomenal. Thank you for sharing that with us, Susie. I really appreciate that.
A couple of friends and I wrote that. We worked together to write songs. So that's a original.
That's beautiful.
Because we are in this battle, you know. We say we're so Veterans Day for us, or Memorial Day for us, is for those that have held space for us for such a long time. Love you guys.
I loved that you honored the veterans in the spiritual community. I thought that was beautiful because, yeah, like Jane and I and many of us have been doing this for a long time, and it is a incredible commitment. You know, if you're in this to like make money and be famous, you're in the wrong profession. This is not about raising money. This is about raising consciousness, and it is definitely a commitment to your soul's calling. So thank you, Susie.
Yeah. Thank you so
Susie.
much. Oh, I think we're both operating here. I'm going to go ahead and remove.
Should we introduce Jane? Bring on the beautiful
Absolutely.
Jane.
Let you go ahead and do that.
Oh, here's the gorgeous and delicious Jane Elworthy.
Hello.
Hello, darling.
Hello, darling.
Welcome to the Wish Alliance Conscious Awakening Conversations. Let me just tell you a little bit about Jane. She just informed me recently, actually, last time I spoke to Jane, I think you were living in Sydney, that you're out of Broken Hill. And if anyone knows where Broken Hill is, that's getting towards the centre of Australia, because in the centre, they call it the red centre. Unlike the States, which is lush and full of cities and population, the red centre of Australia is desert and hot. And what's it like living in Broken Hill?
Look, I've been running retreats out here for a long time. It's really beautiful. But you've got to like the land, you've got to be called to the land. I did have a place here for 15 years, but I didn't actually ever live here. And the land's really called us here. And it's freezing cold at the moment. It gets really cold in the desert. But, it's an artists and mining town. And I grew up in a mining town. And so, you know, I love a lot of the things around that. I love that aesthetic. And also it attracts a lot of artists because of the amazing light, you know, that desert light. So it's not your average outback, you know, little Australian town. It's quite interesting, quite quirky, and I'm loving it. But of course I travel as well, so it's just got to factor in a lot more time to get anywhere, that's for sure.
I'll have to come on over and visit you one day.
Please, come and stay.
I've resisted going into the centre, the red centre, because it gets, as you say, freezing at night, boiling hot during the day. But the flies, let me tell people, you don't understand flies until you come to Australia. The flies are bad enough on the coast, but they're manageable out there in the red centre. You know, they say you see the Australians that have corks hanging off their hats. That's because, and then the corks go like this. That's the flies. Anyway,
that's the flies. The Aussie wave. The
Aussie wave.
This is why everyone's always doing this.
The Aussie salute. Yeah,
that's
exactly.
Aussie salute. That's
Aussie. All right, let me read your bio. From a difficult and traumatic childhood, which many starseeds have, we elect to come into these families to clean up the density, to an international sound healer, shamanic teacher and channel. Jane Elworthy's mission is to help people remember their true divine nature through the healing power of sound, rhythm and light code reactivations through the Earth's grid points. After a profound awakening experience in her 20s and a number of early years in the corporate world, Jane was called strongly to the ancient women's sacred instrument, the frame drum, and has been a master drum maker, frame drum and rhythm body teacher for over 30 years. Jane has become Australia's leading player making and researching this ancient instrument, and has been used as a personal technology for deep transformation for thousands of years. Her connection to the ET world continues to develop, with her sonic healing directives coming mainly from the Hathor and Pleaidian energies. Today, Jane is a sound healer, teacher, presenter, performer, and pilgrimage leader who is bringing through sacred sound energies to guide and assist through the medium of rhythm, sound, and story in these changing times. She offers inspirational talks and presentations to help us remember our true purpose on Earth, and believes that humanity has moved into a new level of our evolutionary journey. Absolutely. Hallelujah to that. Yeah. I think I'm just going to mute a couple of people. Do you mind if I mute you guys? Just so we don't have any sound in the background. So Jane, tell us about your story. I mean, obviously we explored it a bit on my show, but the people that are listening to you today may not have heard it. How did it all begin? You said that you had an awakening in your 20s.
Well, first of all, I just want to say hello and blessings. Thank you to Susie so much for that magnificent song. And thank you to Karen and Sheila. And I can see a couple of my beloveds here online as well. Hello. And new beloveds, hello. I had a reawakening in my 20s. I'm going to talk just specifically here around the frame drum. This instrument that I came to realize was women's traditional instrument of worship. Now, when I say women, you know, a lot of my students say to me, "Oh, I haven't got a sense of rhythm. Only black people have rhythm." And it's not that. It's that just that rhythm was taken away from white European women much earlier. And I will talk a little bit about that and about my journey back to finding that and researching. So what happened for me at the beginning was I grew up in Newcastle, in working class Newcastle, which is a mining town north of Sydney. And there was no music in my family. There was no anything much in my family. And I was coming home from school one day, and I had to walk past, to get to the bus stop, a little music store in Hunter Street, Newcastle. And in the window, there was a drum, just a small, very much like this one you can see here, just an open at the back, a small little drum. And I was either 12 or 13, I can't quite remember. I was in high school. And I was just absolutely, something in me went doing, and I was just so drawn to this little drum. And I don't know why. I had no calling to rhythm or to the drum, but I knew that I had to have it. And so I eventually, every day I'd go and look at it, and eventually I plucked up the courage to go inside the music store, and I lay-byed it. And for some of you, I don't know if lay-by is a thing in the States, but it's where you pay for it before you get the items. So it's not a big thing now, but every week I'd pay my $2, until eventually, I'd paid it all off, and I was able to get this little drum. And I took it home, and it was late afternoon, and I sat on the old green couch at home, and I held this drum in my hand, and I smelled it. I just lifted it up to my nose and got this smell of animal. And then I held it up to the light, and I saw, like, it was sort of backlit, and I saw all these veins in the skin. And something in me I just went boom. I went into a profound altered state. It was the smell of the animal skin and just the textures. And I guess it was my first shamanic experience. And I heard a voice that said, when you grow up, these are the smells. I don't remember the exact words, but something like, these are the smells and the feelings and the textures that you'll be working with when you grow up. And that there was something around that connection with something other than how I was being forced to live at that time, that gave me an immense strength. And something in me knew then that there was much more to how I was living and what I was having to live through. So I eventually forgot all about that voice. And, I think I actually hocked that drum. I think I probably got $10 for it and put it towards my escape for when I was 19. I, went and lived in England for a few years and became a punk in the 70s. And just forgot about everything to do with spirituality, because up until then, the voices had been coming, just reminders that this will change. It won't always be like this. And I'd always just pushed it away because there was no forum for a girl of my background with what I'd been through to actually absorb that level of love and light that was trying to contact me. So I did everything I could to just, make it go away. And I know this is a common story for light workers. But I came back to Australia, and I was working in the corporate world. I'd moved to Sydney. This was in my early 20s. And I went to Sri Lanka on a holiday. And there in just a tourist store in Kandy in Sri Lanka, I saw the same sort of drum, just a simple, flat, round drum. And I didn't even remember at this stage about the experience I'd had when I was 12 or 13. But again, I was just called to it, and I bought it. It came home in my suitcase, and it lived up on the wall as a sort of like a couple of those ones behind me there, just as a decoration. And one afternoon, my housemate and I were having a wild party. And, we got out all the saucepans to play, and we got out all these things to bang on to make music. And down off the wall came the drum. And it was the first time it had really been played. And my friend was playing it, and she was going wild on it. And she was playing it with a fork, with the pointy end of a fork, and put a hole straight through the skin. And a friend of mine said, I know how to skin a drum. Come to my studio sometime and I'll show you. And so he organised for me a new skin. And we went to his studio, and I soaked the skin as he taught me how to do. And when I lifted the skin out of the water, I had the smell, the rush of the smell that I'd had when I was 12. And I went into, like Marcel Proust and his story about when he tasted the biscuit, he remembered everything from his childhood. When I lifted this skin out of the water, I had this absolute rush of memory, not only of that experience when I was 12, but of, I've done this before. I've done this for lifetime after lifetime after lifetime. It came through the medium of smell and texture for me. And so I knew that this was, and I remembered the voice that had said, when you grow up, these are the textures and the smells that you'll be working with. And so I just listened to that voice, and I quit my job in the corporate world. And I ended up moving into a little studio space in Annandale in Sydney. And I just started skinning everything I could. I got animal skins, and I got old sewer pipes I started with, and I'd put a skin on them. And, I didn't know what I was doing. I just was following the guidance that I had to do this. And eventually I got to a point where I realized that I needed a teacher. And this was Sydney in by this stage, 1991. And, there were the African drums, there were the djembes, but there was no one that could really teach me this style of drumming, this style of making and playing drums that I knew I was called to do. There were people doing the shamanic style drum perhaps, but that was it. So it's a much longer story. I won't go into it all, but there was a sequence of events that took me to Santa Fe. I didn't even know where it was. I actually just went into the Adyar bookshop in Sydney, and I was looking through this magazine. Some of you may know it was called Shaman's Drum, and I thought, oh, that'll have some drums in it. And I saw a drum in that, and I rang the guy. This is before internet. I rang him in America and said, can I come and be your apprentice? And he was, after he recovered, we sort of organized it, and I actually ended up going over to Santa Fe and learning about these drums. It didn't actually work out with him, but I found someone else. It's a whole sequence of events, as these things always are. But I was at a friend's place, and I, on her coffee table, I saw a flyer for a man called Glenn Velez. And he was this beautiful man with long black hair and a beard, holding this little drum, just like the original drum that I'd been called to when I was 12, and just like the drum that I'd been called to in Sri Lanka. And he was just standing there with this tiny little drum. And so I thought, I've just got to go to this concert. And I went to the concert in Albuquerque, and there was this man standing on stage, just alone, with a stage full of these drums. And I was just completely in awe. And he stood there for 2 hours playing different styles, Indian, Azerbaijan, Irish, so many different styles of these drums. And my mind was just completely blown. And again, I was into an altered state of knowing that this was my instrument, and it was the instrument, even though it was a man playing it, it was the instrument from thousands of years ago of women and of my lineage, of my heritage. So I cornered him backstage at the end of it and asked him, could I learn from him? And found out that he was, at that stage, and perhaps still, the master, the world master of this little type of instrument, like this and other larger ones, called the frame drum. And so a whole other world of the frame drum opened up to me. And so I'll just stop the story just there in case anyone has any questions. I see all these things flying by on chat, but of course I can't get to them.
Sheila, do you want to say what you've written here?
Oh yeah. Well, I was just saying that I love making drums too, and
Yay.
I have a drum workshop that I'm doing in July, and it's a 4-day process for me. And so I can't wait to hear how you make your drums. But there's nothing like pulling that hide out of the water after it's been soaking. It has such a, I don't know, such a grounding aroma to it.
It does have a grounding aroma to it. And it's also the moment, I think with drum making, and certainly that was my journey for a long time before I learned the intricacies of playing the frame drum. We're taking a dead bit of animal and a dead bit of tree. That's the truth of that, and we're it's an alchemical process where you're bringing them back together in a new form, and there's a blessing and also a responsibility in that. And I think when you lift the dry, this is where the healing came for me. But in a nutshell, you take something that's dry and that is dead in its current form. And that was me. There was something that had dried up in me. And when I lifted this skin out of the water, it's like a rebirth. It's like this dry skin softens and changes form into a new being. It's a rebirth. And so that was the healing for me. And that's what I committed to in my drum making, was for the animal and the tree, and also for the people that came to make drums with me over, what's been 30 odd years, that there's an opportunity to be birthed into something new. It's quite an amazing process. And I'd love to see your drums, Sheila. Yeah.
Sheila, I know you've got questions because you love this shamanic stuff. So do you want to?
Yeah, I keep getting all this stuff popping up on my screen from Zoom. I'm trying to go through and click it all off. Okay. Yes. Well, I know when I'm preparing my drums, I do a ceremony like 3 days. I start at 3 days prior to the time that we do that. And I do different prayer work and offer herbs to the water from each of the directions. And then on the last day, of course, when the people come, we do the ceremony where we're taking the berries and putting that back on, bringing the bones, of the drum back to life. And we have songs that we sing. I gather the water from the river that's on the property where we are. And it's one of the most, probably one of the most enjoyable teachings that I offer to people, because for me, when you're making that drum, you're putting your life force energy also into that drum. And then we have a period of time where that drum rests. And then we do a birthing ceremony, kind of like, I have children also that we teach, and they make a little line and they come through, the new drums come through, and the children sprinkle cornmeal and they sprinkle flour and, different things, different flowers and stuff on the drums. And then the whole time they're telling it to wake up. So it's kind of like, wake up, wake up, wake up. And it gets louder and louder and louder till finally, they start beating their drums. And when they do, there's just like this explosion of energy that just ripples out to everybody that's there witnessing that. It's phenomenal. I mean, there's so many different ways of, bringing that energy back to life, like you say.
Oh, Sheila, that's so, so beautiful. And I completely agree with you that it needs to be a whole process. And, I think if you're going to bring a sacred object into the world, make it sacred. And there's enough crap in the world. And, and so, I have a different process, but I certainly do it over a longer period of time. And it's also important for me that people begin with the whole skin. So they can see where this is where the head of the animal was. This is where its front legs were. This is where its hind legs were, and its tail. And people can go, oh my God, I'm really working with a living divine being here. And they get the responsibility of that transformation from something to something to a new being in a way. And for me, it was important in the early days of my drum making. I don't do it now. That I learned how to skin the animal. And I moved after being in New Mexico. I moved back. I moved to the Blue Mountains, just west of Sydney. Excuse me. And I set up we had a big shed, and I set up a big old studio there, and it was full of wood, and I was still teaching myself to make the frames as well, because I do all the timber work as well for all the frames. I still do. I was doing it yesterday. I got puffy eyes today because of all the wood dust, but it's just what I do. But I realized that I needed to learn how to also work with skinning the animal. And so that was a big process for me. And I was writing about this yesterday. I had someone, I don't skin animals anymore. I still skin lizards in ceremony when I find a dead lizard, and that goes on the trim, some of the little bits, like the lizard. You can see some lizard skin here. This is kangaroo. But you know what? Someone was saying to me the other day, a young woman came to my sort of workspace here in Broken Hill, which I've recently set up, and she said, "Oh my God, you've got all these skins, and you skin lizards and things. You've got to post that on Facebook." And I was saying to her, "You know what, honey? No, I don't. That part of the process is not for humans. And for 30 odd years, you will not find one image that I have of me with that knife. Later on, yes, okay, it's fine to post images. It's fine to, whatever, talk about it. But there's the early stage of that process for me is it's not, the human leaves and the other, something else comes in. And then it's between me and the spirit of the deer, or between me and the spirit of the kangaroo, or the goat, or the fish, or the lizard. It's a deep communion with the animal on that level. And like I said, I don't do that anymore, except for lizards and fish. But I needed to learn how to do it. And so that was an incredible part of the process. And I really get that right back then when I was 12, that's what they were meaning. It's been a very hands-on thing and a very private thing. And yeah, I could have marketed it more, and everyone's like, "Oh my God, you could have been famous." And, maybe I am known for it, but it just hasn't been that for me. It's, I've compromised in a lot of things in life, but I haven't compromised on that one.
And, beautiful. Jane, I'd love to hear you talk more about, connecting to the galactic lineage and the Hathors and the Pleaidian sound oracles, because it's such a beautiful journey to have that groundedness of the shamanic and the spirit of the earth and the animals, and then going up and connecting to the higher civilizations and bringing through. Yeah, I'd love to hear how that all happened.
Yeah, absolutely. Happy to talk about that. What I'm getting right in this minute is to offer just a brief sounding with voice and drum, if that's okay, just to call those energies in to the space and as a blessing for everyone here. And
beautiful. Remember to
Let-
change your sound up on the left corner to original sound on.
original sound
On.
Yeah, on. There we go.
And you might need to unplug your, I don't know, maybe not.
Well,
Your-
I'll just have a
your
little
mic.
test if that's okay. This is a drum that I made in 1992. I find different handles from trees and I embed them. This is what I call a ritual drum. I embed them into the frame of the drum. I skinned this deer in 1992, so she's still one of my babies. So, beloveds, I invite you. I can hear music in the background somewhere.
Yeah, I'll check it.
That's gone now. That's good. Thank you. Invite you, beloveds, just to close your eyes if you choose. Can you hear this okay? Can you hear me okay?
Could be a little louder, Di.
Yeah, I'm getting there. Yeah. And bring your awareness into your heart space, into your rhythm body. And I've been called just to bring through a blessing. Okishay ay sala aanduklay may noy. Hey, so salaka aamay noya. Kay salakaya. Hoy. Hey, akay sayli yotoy amaay ne akay shala isala a o inaya. Duksala e na ako e maanaya. Koshale hoy akay eme isala aandukoy niya. Shaana ay magdakay ole isalaklaya. Noina, po inay ay o iinaklay eya. Siya ina Magda. Magda isala aandukuloya na inay. Isala. Kotiale se poloklehi tai ho. Shakalay. Asalaklaya. No ea que shalaklaya dea come mawate ho. Kaya hilaklaya o salaklo hilamaklaya hole o. Mawate mawato. Akisaya, moin ay ele andokloe ma selekaya. Dotoya, do I mukus kala bar o enda kala shalaya. Doke mine shwa ikayo sole inda kala oya. None kaya. Shikaya sai su shu 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 shu.
That was amazing. Absolutely amazing. Now, do you ever record your singing, and do you have any CDs or digital products?
I do. It's on my list right now that we've finished renovations at this new place to do more recordings. There's a lot more coming up very soon, but I do. I have an MP3 CD called Hathor Love Song, which is from the Hathors, and it's playing more. I'm playing the frame drum, but also it's mainly channeled from the Hathors with my my gold bowl that's in a particular frequency. Maybe we'll get to that. I also have another piece that came through from the Pleaidian energies called the Dance of Dirt. That's much more earthy as well. I feel like it's not quite finished yet, but it is on the website, and I'm also in the process of getting a new website that should be up by the end of this month. It's technology has been we're friends now, but it's a slow thing. Karen's taught me to say that. So yeah,
I love technology, and technology loves me.
Technology loves me.
Yes.
Just sing Sally, hello. Yeah.
Oh, darling one, that oh my God, the bringing through the indigenous, makes me cry. The indigenous sounds, which is, the indigenous Australian sound, the original people, well, the Aboriginal people, but the original people that who are Palladian starseeds, aren't they? Connected to
they're Pleiadian starseeds, absolutely. And the piece of mine called The Dance of Dirt has on the cover a painting from an young Aboriginal man, and it's definitely in honour of I just call them the grandmothers, but it's very specific, the Anangu people of Central Australia, that really came through them. Yeah.
Yeah, beautiful. Back to the question about how you contacted your Star Nation family.
Yes. Well, that kind of happened. That was very early on for me. I was always in contact with beings of the other realms when I was very young. I had a constant companion who I just, was an ET. And when I used to go to fancy dress parties, I'd always dress up as this ET. And, my mother gave me her hairdryer. We cut the cord off this old hairdryer, and it was my ray gun. And there were the old television. Do you remember the old TV antennas that had the things coming out? I used to strap one to my head, and walk around with this TV antenna kind of strapped to my head. But look how it came. I can't even tell you an actual time when I began communicating with the energies, other than the sounds and the voice was there very much when I was young. And then when I was 11, I was very violently raped, and I had a fractured pelvis from the force of it. And look, it's a blessing now. It's a long story, but what it did for me was, it's almost literally, but there became two of me. It split me into the girl that sort of looked reasonably normal, except was very, very rageful, became very rageful. But there was the other part that went down somewhere else, went into the galactic realms and the underworld, because it was safe. Whoopsie.
We've got a bit of...
Something happened?
Has she frozen for everybody? Or is it just my internet?
I'm still... Can you hear me?
Yeah, everything is fine. Karen seems to be frozen a bit.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think it's my internet. Was that across the board, or was that just my internet?
I think that was your
Angie.
internet.
Hello, Angie. Yeah, they're saying good, and I was okay, but I was cutting out earlier. maybe it's a new moon, something going on. Yeah, so there was, it's like there became two of me. And I think the journey and what drum making and what the frame drum has done is brought those two bits, back into the wholeness of one being, which of course is all beings. So it was actually through the frame drum that I became connected to the Hathor energies. And so when I heard Glenn Velez playing, and I began to learn how to play the frame drum in all its many, many forms, I started to research. And again, this is before the internet. I used to go to the big old Fisher Library in Sydney and just go through ethnomusicology books and trying to find images of women playing the frame drum. And it turned out through my research over a long period of time that there are literally thousands and thousands of images of women playing the frame drum. And one of the and many of the goddesses, Hathor, Chabeli, Isis, like they're depicted. Magdalene, who's now one of my beloveds, depicted holding this very simple, small, round drum. But it was the Hathors that really caught my attention. And I'll just see if I can. Technology is my friend. Technology is my friend. Technology is my friend. What happens if I do that? Can you see something there?
Yes, we can see your image.
So this is an image from Sumeria, from thousands of 3,000 or 4,000, I think, BC. And this is Inanna, the goddess Inanna. And you can see here that she's holding one of those very simple round frame drums. Sorry, I thought I had these in. There's one of Hathor, again, holding. I meant to. This is. No, I'm going the wrong way. I might do, here's one on the top here. You can see the goddess Hathor here holding a frame drum, and I'll just flip through really quickly. Here's another one from thousands of years ago. The first known depiction, image still surviving. But there's one I wanted to find particularly. Sorry, I thought I had it separate, but I don't. Early Egyptian frame drummers. Greece, 5,300 BC. India. Here's one of the goddess Hathor. You can see the cow ears playing to the god Horus, the god of the underworld. It was when I discovered this image that I went, there was something around, I lived most of my life in the underworld. Now, I'm just going to get out of that. What do? I go stop share. Here I am. I lived most of my life down in the underworld, and yet here I was being called to rise up and through this new instrument and offer to the underworld rather than bloody well live in it all the time. So I started researching particularly Hathor, and as I found hundreds and hundreds of images of Hathor playing the frame drum, I realized that it's depicted as a goddess in ancient Egyptian times, but of course that's anthropomorphized. There's the group of beings called the Hathors, and the Hathors come from near Venus, fifth and seventh dimensional beings. And I found that their energies, I just started as I was playing to see images of the Hathors. That's how it came. It sort of wasn't all that dramatic, really. And then I found that what I discovered was that there's a whole lineage of the Isis, Hathor, Magdalene lineage. That's a whole lineage where the frame drum was consistent the whole time, all the way through. And so I've remembered your question, Karen, about the Galactics, but it really did come very much through this earthy side. And it wasn't until I could be grounded through the drum and through rhythm and through working with wood and working with timber that actually I was anchored enough to then channel. Because before that, I was getting messages and all that, but because of my early experience where my base chakra had been very damaged and cut in a way, I was just all over the place, and the energies couldn't anchor and couldn't land in me. And I started getting messages around that, and through the drum and through repetitious playing and playing and playing, that I found that the light language started to come through. And I knew it from a child, but I didn't know who it was. And at first it was very terrifying for me speaking light language because of my early experience that I told you about. I didn't want anything coming into me that, what if it's a violation? Who is it? What if they're evil beings? Who is it? And so for a long time there was a real struggle in me. No, I don't want it. I don't know who you are, until I just got familiar with, yes, this is the Hathors. This is them.
We've got another freeze, haven't we?
Okay, yes. I didn't know if it was on my end.
Yeah, I think everybody. I think it's actually Jane's internet.
Okay.
Which has been remarkable considering she's way out in
Absolutely. What a phenomenal story, and what a beautiful storyteller.
I know, beautiful, isn't she?
The drums are
she's
amazing.
frozen. Yeah, Susie, she's frozen. It's been a fun day today because I think she's popped off. She'll pop back on because I've had a hacker on all the streaming platforms posting spam, rude stuff, and I've been trying to deal with that. It's been fun today with the technology. I love technology.
Am I here?
Yeah, she is.
You're
back.
here.
Yeah.
I'm back. Well, for some reason, the slides just showed back up on my screen. I don't know. Anyway.
I know, we're having fun today.
Yeah, maybe the solar flares, Diana. You're right. Yes. Anyway. So, yeah. And then, it wasn't a story. My channeling was not a story of love and light. It was a story of, I don't want you. I don't know who you are, until eventually I was softened enough, like the hard skin of the animal. They soaked me enough in warm water and then lifted me out until I was like, yes, okay, this is my divine purpose. And it was really the Hathors first, and then it was always concurrent with my research and my playing of the drum. And then, finding out too that the frame drum was in the Old Testament, many examples of the frame drum mentioned in the Old Testament. In Exodus, Miriam, the prophetess, took a timbrel in her hand, which is another name for a frame drum, and all the women went out after her with timbrels and with dances. So it's been used for ceremony and altered states, trance states for thousands of years. It was also through my that's gone off. Now my other line.
Oh, fun and games.
Absolutely.
We're having some lovely there's it's obviously a bot. Somebody's saying, wow, a bot has been infiltrating the the messages on across all the platforms. Anyway, she is fabulous. The Hathors love to dance. The lady is authentic. Frozen, Yvette says. Yes, I know, we're having fun. Dedicated to the message, still there. Yeah. How, Susie, you had your hand up for Jane.
Okay, I'm back.
Oh, she's back.
Yay.
Goodness me, what's happening today?
Fun and
Keeping us
games.
on our toes.
Keeping us on our toes.
Yeah,
Yes.
keeping us on our toes.
Also, my light has just blown, so I'm sorry. I'm going to be a little more in the dark now. Hopefully you can still see me. Something weird happening. Where were we?
Where were we? I don't know. I'm distracted because of the bot, but
Right. I am too,
shall
but
we
I think
go into questions? Because we're in the second hour now, which is when people get the opportunity to ask questions. And Susie has her hand up. You might remember what you were saying before when you answer Susie's question, darling.
Jane, such a beautiful presentation. This is one of 4 drums. I just got rid of 2. I'm downsizing. I can't get rid of any more. And I have never made a drum though, so I hope Sheila, because that was so inspiring. Oh my God! Now I've about 40 or more years ago, I went to a drum circle, and I'm almost 6 feet tall, and this girl was barely 5 feet tall, and she had these 2 big conga drums, and she was playing them, and she had 100 people, and it was just magnificent, and she kept calling me out to lead, and I've been leading drum circles ever since.
Wow.
My most magnificent one was 8,000. Now, I didn't lead this one, I just got to participate. 8,000 people along the San Andreas Fault beating to keep it up because it was a real sensitive time. I lead a bunch of drum circles in town here. It's hard to do that online, though, I think. But just how inspiring, and if people knew that the beat is the prayer, and these, it was just like you portrayed that so beautifully. And I kind of, in my mind, I went, God, when was the first drumming I had in this lifetime? And I went back to when I was 18, which was many, many, many moons ago. And I was in Haleakala Crater in Maui, and you hike in 11 miles. You hike it, and you have nothing but what you can carry in. So you just have little weeds and stuff to add water to, and you get these 3 cabins. And this was the first drumming I had. We didn't have drums, so people just did the picnic tables in the cabin. And I'm telling you, we went on for hours. Nobody had drugs. Nobody had all they had was their little beans to add water to so they could survive. But the drumming went on into it was just magnificent. Drumming is so, so magic. You are just an exceptional portrayal of that. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you, Susan. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Look, it is magic, and we are rhythm. We are rhythm, just condensed into physical form. Our brain waves, our heartbeat, our pulse, our nervous system. It's all rhythmic in nature, and that's what I realized through my research was that it was the drum that all these ancient women and goddesses were shown, portrayed with, nothing else, because it's talking to that. It's talking to that fact that and it's a technology of transformation to move into those altered states, to move into removing the ego and allowing the light beings to come through, because yes, it's channeling. We're in a channeled, altered state when we're playing the drum. With consciousness. Not always, not everyone is, but we have that opportunity. Yeah. So that's a great story. I love that. Thank you, Susan.
Also, in guiding new people, a lot of times they're, like you say, they're rowdy and they're all, and guiding them into acknowledging that it's prayer. It's a beautiful gift. I mean, it's a gift where, because you're pulling, and when people do connect with their heart and their, they get so much more out of it than when they're just like beating on something because they've got, excess energy. Guiding new drummers is a really beautiful thing. So I just think you're awesome. Thank you, Jane.
Oh, thank you so much, darling. Yeah, well, it creates a more, when we drum together with conscious intent, it creates a morphic resonance, as Rupert Sheldrake talks about. And that goes somewhere, like our thoughts, like our actions. We create something bigger than the sum of its parts. And that's an offering that we can give out, a rhythmic offering, plus our voice, out to the world. And so one of my main ways, is through that medium. And when it's coupled with the channeled sounds, it's very powerful. Yeah.
Beautiful. Loney, you have a question? Thank you, Susie.
Thank you, Susie.
Hi, I love hearing about drums. I love drums. I'm drawn to drums. I have made two in a sacred manner. Actually, I think Sheila was with me with one of them. And I think one of the things that I've noticed about the drum is that we cut the hides beside each other for our drum. We cut the hide. And so whoever was beside me, above me, below me, wherever, I also still have that connection with them. And, when you said rebirthing, it's almost like a reincarnation into a life to make music, to make vibrations. And that spirit will live on and on and on. And I could hear that when you were drumming on your drum.
Wonderful. Thank you.
So is there any drum that, you said you've done kangaroo and deer? I have one deer one. Is there any drum that you like the sound of better, and why?
It depends on the purpose. When I'm working with bringing through a chant or light language, I tend to use one that has a handle at the back, so that I can keep a repetitious beat. And the repetitious beat itself is working with changing the brain waves from a beta state to a theta state. That's another whole thing, though. And then I'm free. I just set up a repetitious beat, and then I'm kind of, it's like the platform through which the light language can, move. When I'm working with, if I'm playing, if I want to move the energy, or if I'm working, sometimes another energies that I work with quite a bit are the manted energies, so the praying mantis energies. And that's like a psychic surgery where they're very sharp sounds, very staccato, and I think I read, Sheila, that you work with these energies too. Mm-hmm. For me, very sharp staccato. They're working with through the medium of sound and rhythm, cutting through density. I find that they're not sentimental. They're loving, but not sentimental at all. In fact, I don't find any of them sentimental. So I tend to use this style of drum more, which is the sort you saw more with Hathor. This is the traditional size and shape that women played, evolved from the grain sieve. And then you can get some very, and great for just some of the Indian, South Indian Solkatu vocal language. And then I find once you get the group involved in that and into some sort of being an open and altered state, then what tends to come through for me is after they're safe and grounded, some of the clearing. First, establish the love, always establish the anchoring, the grounding, and then see what emerges that way. And it's a co-creation between me and the people I'm working with, of course. So I'm steering it to a degree, but it's also depends what the soul of that person is wanting or needing at that time, or the group. The other drum that I love to play is called the Pele. I've called it the Pele, big mama, kangaroo skin. You can see all the veins and the markings perhaps in the skin. This is very like the skin that I was originally called me when I was 12. And you can see here the spine, always the spine in the middle of the drum. This is a big mama. She's 20 inches. I've put a padded bit here. I put this against my third eye so that I can sing into the drum, and I do other rhythmic movements here with the third eye, very similar to what the ancient women in South India did with a frame drum called the perai. See, most cultures have a frame drum. It's not just, we know the Native American style, and we know the Irish style called the boran or the bohan, but most cultures had a frame drum of some description. And like I said earlier, we're not just talking about African or Asian, we're also talking about white European women. So
Could you
this
give
drum
us a sample
of this one?
That
Yeah.
would be amazing.
All right, so I'll just tell you what I did with this drum, what I developed, because I've just developed this. I called it the Pele because it's got a very big fiery energy like the goddess Pele, is I put a mouthpiece into it here. There's a bit more lizard, kangaroo, so that you can see, because this is a membrane, so that you can sing into the mouthpiece and sing across the skin while you're either playing with the fingers of both hands or with a beater. And I'm about to run a retreat in Broken Hill in the outback at a beautiful place in September to make one of these. I only take 10 women for this. So I don't know if you'll be able to hear this. I'll just do it with the drum bonger, the beater, instead of, we'll see what happens. Hopefully this, hang on. I've got to turn original sound on, still on, okay. Sai toya tai oge. Taka taka taka
Wow.
I don't know if you could hear. Can you hear that?
Yes, we could. Amazing. Thank you so much.
Yeah. So obviously when I'm standing, and the other thing that you can do with this drum is what I discovered is placing it which has been incredibly helpful for me with part of my healing journey, is, well, you can't see, but place it on the pubic bone, and as you drum, you can do this with other drums too, and then roll it up the body. And it's an amazing way of clearing density. So you can, Sheila and everyone, you can try that with other drums too, but with this big size, this 20-inch, and just the way I've made it with kangaroo, which is a very specific sound. Try holding the wooden frame onto the pubic bone. Oh, still going through me. And drumming, and then rolling the frame up the body, and you can open it. It's an amazing way of opening the chakras, and works very well with the thymus gland.
Beautiful. Thank you so much.
Thank you
You're
very
so
much.
welcome.
And Rachel.
Tiny little taste.
Hi,
Wonderful.
Rachel. You have a
Wonderful.
question for us. Great to see you.
There we go. Sorry, there were things covering where the mute button was, so I had to move it up. Hello, hi Jane. So nice to see you.
Hello. Are you the one that said you were born near Broken Hill? Was that you?
No,
No, that was someone else. Okay.
I haven't been to Broken Hill, although I would really love to. It sounds just beautiful.
It is good. Yeah. It's weird, but it's really good.
I can do weird.
Yeah.
First of all, thank you. I find I resonate deeply with your story, and we have a lot of parallels. It was interesting that you mentioned about Isis and Hathor and the Magdalene Rose lineage, because I've since information has been given to me since just not so long ago that I'm part of the Magdalene Rose lineage.
Yes, you
And
are.
Hathor has been coming through. There she is there. So on my rattle. And I wanted to show you my drum because I do light codes also. And so I'm not sure if you can see this properly, but I lay light
Beautiful.
codes on the drums.
Oh, yes, I do. I see. Yes, around there. Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Gee whiz, that's incredible.
They
Isn't that beautiful?
want us to be laid on the
Beautiful.
drum. I think you may have answered my question though, because the question that I had was I'm working with a lot of still working on moving dense energy, and I wanted to know the best way that you could think of working with the drum to move dense energy. I think you might have answered that with the rolling of the drum though.
Even just always start with your feet. It's an incredible way, even if it's amazing how many people find it difficult to just go step, 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 step. And, I find, I think of it as a triangle. And then when you just get this happening, this left and right, do it repetitively. And when you've got that really established, this is probably more something that needs a longer time to talk about, but just work with the drum, feel into, as you just let the drum drum you. Don't worry about technique. You can do technique, but don't worry about that. Let the drum drum you, and then ask the spirits that you work with to show you where the density needs to be released from, and just hold your awareness in that place, and let the voice just come. And do it when you're absolutely on your own, so that the crying can come and the whatever needs to come can come. And then let that all just come out. But there is obviously more to it than that. But I find it's not very fancy. It's quite simple, really. And obviously you're already in connection with the Galactics to be working with the light codes like that. Yeah. So now is the perfect, that'll come through even more when you work with this. But we can have another conversation about that if you'd like
I'd
sometime.
love to actually. I'd love to do that. Thank you so much. Thanks, Jane.
Yeah.
Rachel was our speaker last week. So Sheila asked me to co-host with her this month of May. This is our last week.
Rachel Burns.
Yes.
Rachel Burns.
Yes, I looked at it. I saw that. Beautiful. Yeah.
And I called this month Galactic Gals from Down Under. So she was one of our
Beautiful.
she was one of our Galactic Gals.
Fabulous. Yes. You're in Sydney, Rachel?
Yes, I am. Yep.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, great.
I'm hoping to move to the mountains soon, actually. It's funny that you mentioned the Blue Mountains because my heart is drawn. I'm completely drawn to the mountains, and so I'll put it out there. So we're manifesting it.
Great, wonderful.
Thanks, Jane.
Yeah, thanks, Rachel.
Just,
Thank
there
you
was
so
a
much, Rachel.
There was a question here, actually. Where is it? Susie, no. Somebody asked if you have a message for us. I can't remember where that was now.
I think that was Gina, Dr. Gina Pickering, almost.
Oh,
doctor.
Gina, did she? Oh, okay, yeah. I don't know. Do you want to?
Channel a message. Oh, you mean a light language message or a?
Just I suppose
Whatever comes to you.
that you can hear me, Jane. Hi,
Who's that? Is that you, Gina?
Gina. Yeah.
Hello,
Hey,
Gina.
Hey, hey.
Hey,
Yeah,
hey.
just hey. I suppose like maybe like a bit bigger picture. You know, you're working with this probably also individually, but also bigger picture for the planet and just connecting up with the land. Is there anything that you wanted to share about that?
Yeah, thank you, Gina. The rhythm and the voice and the drum are the most powerful ways that I know of working with activating the light codes in the land. And that is what, Gaia, she's in one way she's absolutely fine. And in another way, she needs help. Now, I know in this land, Australia, some of the Aboriginal people actually closed down some of the energies. There were like keys that were locked, areas that were locked. And I've been working with Aboriginal people, and particularly the I can still not even, it's so long, Andamathanya people in the northern Flinders Ranges, and they work specifically, that area is working with the dragons, and which is the rainbow serpent. So part of my mission, and I think part of what so many of us are called to do, is work with the earth healing, with working with Gaia. And so I'd really, again, just suggest to tune into a sacred place. Like Rachel, when you get to the mountains, I can recommend some places. I lived there a long time, where there are is a portal energy, and we could discuss that longer too. A vortex and a portal energy, and you are a sacred being of sound already, I think is what I want to say. It's just that we haven't necessarily, we don't know it, we don't believe it, we haven't accessed it. Just trust what comes through. I like to just keep it pretty simple, but that we are beings of sound. We're sacred sites walking around on the planet all the time. Think of yourself as a sacred site and ask, what would a sacred site do in this moment? I find it really helpful. Or what would a master do in this moment? When I'm getting caught up in 3D and what would a master do? Or what would me as a sacred site do right now? So I think the message for me is get onto the land and see what comes through you. It's not that it can't come through an apartment, but offer it. You're a direct conduit then when you've got your feet on the earth, and see what comes through and what you can offer. The Aboriginal people have an expression, napatji, napatji. It means I give you something, you give me something, and it doesn't mean an actual object necessarily. It's the law, talking about the law of reciprocity. So offer to the earth, and you'll receive something back. And, even when we meditate, that takes a lot of angels for us to get into that meditation stage. What are we offering them back? Think about that, like the shamanic state. That takes a lot of power animals to get you there in how you are. Offer back, always. It's that kind of a thing in all that you do. And with the drum, let the drum play you as much as you play it. And when you're playing it, play it to itself, play it to the drum, offer to the drum, because what it's giving back to you is incredible resonance and incredible harmonics, and the angelic realms and the other realms are riding on the harmonics. There's the main beat, boom, 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 and then there are all these other overtones or harmonics that are rippling out from that. Same as we've got our physical body, we've got our auric field, we've got the main beat, we've got all these harmonics, and they are fine, they're fine, fine, and the beings are coming through that. That's where they come through. They come through there and then arise through the density of the human form and out through the magic of what we can offer, because we are in human form, our voice and our prayers and our rhythms. I don't know if that answered the question, but sort of just what popped out.
Perfect. Beautiful. I'm just going to pop your website in the chat. Is it still janeelworthy.com.au? Yep.
It's janeelworthy.com.au or .com. The other website is Return to Light, but it's .com.au. Otherwise, you won't get there. But you can just Google my name. I am, like I said, I am getting a new website. So the old one's a little daggy and a little out of date, but there's still some things in there, and you can get onto my newsletter.
So, Jane, have you written a book about your story or the knowledge that you carry about the drum?
I've written articles, but I haven't written a book, Sheila. No, but I've thought about it, and I haven't as yet, but I think I should.
Wonderful. Okay.
Melinda on YouTube says, I was questioning my connection to the sacred land today. Thank you for the confirmation.
Ah, wonderful. Yes. That's it, isn't it? Trust. And I think going back to Karen, what you're saying about the light language, it wasn't until I trusted. They're all fine. They're all ready. They're all like, let us in, hang on, we're ready. We've got to come through you. It was me that was going, no, no, no. And it was the minute that I allowed and opened that, and then I could develop the relationship of, I know the frequency now of the Hathors. I know this is the Pleaidians, and this is the Magdalene energy. And this is when the mantis beings are coming through. They're the main ones. Yeah, Dr. Lawfan and that
Dr.
mob.
Lawfan. Yeah.
Yeah, that mob.
Who did you hear about Dr. Lawfan from? I heard about him from Ananara. Did you hear about him from Ananara?
No.
No?
No, I don't know who I heard about him from.
Maybe it was, I
Or
can't
if any-
think of her name. Can't think of her name.
Ananara Grace?
Ananara Grace, yeah.
Is that her? Yeah. I think we're Facebook friends.
Facebook friends. Yeah, Dr. Lawfan. She told me about this 7-foot prey mantis called Dr. Lawfan about 20 years ago. And I have to say, I remember thinking, I contemplated it. I didn't write it off straight away. Oh, yeah, a big bug, a big green bug. That's
Yeah.
But I work with
But
the
you look at... sorry, go ahead. Go ahead, Karen.
I was just going to say, I work with the mantid energy as well. They're it's a longer story, but yeah, go on. What were you going to say, Jane?
I was just going to say, if you look at some of the bark paintings from up in the northern part of Australia, the X-ray ones, they have incredible paintings of the insect beings, lightning man, and sort of very much the mantid looking one.
And the ant beings,
yeah, the ant beings, and they're connecting to the ET realms, and we just think, oh, isn't that cute? They're honouring some of the beings that they see in the landscape. It's way more than that. They're sophisticated in their own way. They're talking about who they're communicating with and who's communicating through them.
Absolutely,
and a whole body of whole body of stories gets developed around that.
Beautiful. Susie, you have another question for us.
Well, just you're just so inspiring. I just love this, and it may. I'm going to start drumming more and more, and it made me remember one other experience. I was camping in the for about 6 months in a tent up in northern Florida forests, and I was just camping and this whole huge, they called them, it was a pagan festival, and they had drums. They had these 3 big drums, but I'm telling you, they kept that same beat, and little drums would come, and people, it was, I don't know how to explain it, but people felt responsible to keep the prayer going.
Yes.
And for like 7 days, that beat went, and you were in a tent. It was your heart. It was just magnificent. I mean, just aligning yourself to that beat. And since I was in a tent in the forest, it couldn't be much more grounded and natural than that. It was magnificent. You are magnificent. What I'm so inspired. So inspired.
Oh, thank you, Susie. And I think you hit on something very important there, that we have a responsibility to keep that beat going, whatever that beat is for us. Whether it's if it's a belief, you know, if it's a you know, because it's a metaphor. This is a metaphor for something, you know, much greater, and it's the beat of life itself, which is why it was shown depicted in the hands of the goddess. It's the beat of life. We have a responsibility to that. We've come here as lighthouses, and their lighthouses are built on rocky places. You know, they're not built in nice meadows. They're built in hard places, and so that we can shine our light out, so the ships can make it into harbour safe. And yeah, it's and just in a very literal sense, you know, with the Middle Eastern and other styles like you're talking about, Susie, there's different strokes on the drum, and some of them you can do all sorts of fancy, you know, twiddly bits, but the dum element never changes. Because, say with Middle Eastern, for example, everybody else is working off that dum, dum, dum. It's the water element in that style of frame drum, and all the fancy little twiddly. You can get as fancy as you like, but the pulse stays the same. And there we get into the difference between pulsation and rhythm. They're different. At the level of pulsation, we're one. Boom.
Wow.
Boom. But at the level of rhythm, which is an overlay, we're all individual. And so, back in the 90s and 2000s, it was sort of, well, I know for me, it was like, we're all one. And so I don't have to do anything because we're all one. And now it's like, yes, okay, we're all one. And now let's get on with our individual mission. Let's make that a given. That pulsation is through everything, every being, every rock, every tree, every human. And let's make it a given. And now move into our individual mission. And that's our rhythmic overlay over the top of the pulsation. And we're seeing that now. So many extraordinary things, coming out. And
we're doing that. We're doing that right now with this collaboration between the Wish Alliance and you and me and all the people, and streaming on all these different platforms and streaming all over Facebook. It's like we're utilizing that individual mission for the good of the collective, because we're all one. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. It's incredible. I think it's incredible what you do, Karen, and I'm sure what you do, Sheila, from the small amount that I know, and what we all do. But spreading it out, and as Susie, as you'd know, when you're in a tent, like you can't escape it. The sound's just reverberating out, and you're reverberating your sounds out with what you're doing. And I think it's amazing.
If we've got time, there's a couple of questions happening on the streaming platform. So this is an interesting question. Oh God, I've got to find it now. Somebody said, where's a good place to get a drum? Depends where you live. It's broken English. I think she's European. Why does the native will not let the men beat the drums? I don't know what she means by that. Why does the native will only let the men? Oh, so what she's saying is the natives only let the men beat the drums.
Maybe during powwow.
Okay, well, I do have to mention this. So I mentioned, I'm going to keep this brief. It could go on much longer. It's a whole story in itself. I mentioned that for thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of years, the women were the drummers. And there's literally thousands of images from way, way back showing women. And it was used for childbirth. It was used for ceremony. It was used for altered states of consciousness, to connect with all sorts of different beings. And I'm talking about European women, and as well as women from all cultures. It's just that we have the documentation of the European white women in this instance. And then when Rome adopted Christianity in about 200 AD, it was actually made a heretic act for women to play the drum. So it actually was heresy for women to play the drum. So as you can imagine, that did something to the collective consciousness of women's main, our main, one of our main purposes and missions. So now when the drum re-emerged in the culture, European culture, it re-emerged as a military instrument in the time of the Crusades. And then the time signature that was given to us then was in a 4 cycle. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right. Great for marching, great for structure and order. But what we lost were the rhythms in 5s and the rhythms in 7s and 9s and all these incredible rhythmic cycles that when you play them in a repetitious beat, open up all different aspects of the psyche. And that's a lot of my work with what I call rhythm consciousness. All I can think of is that it had a ripple effect in terms of the collective across all cultures, including the Native American culture. I don't know other than that. I'm not Native American, but I do know that from, when I went to school, girls played the flute and the boys got the drum.
Played the drums.
But we're the rhythm holders, women, and this is not about men and women. This is about the divine feminine and the divine masculine. The divine feminine is the boom, boom, boom. And then the men tend to do the more filigree stuff, going out and doing what you do, the active principle, that the divine masculine active principle. And that's got really skewed over time, I think. But, we need, this is, I think, we're in a lot of trouble on the planet right now because we've lost that boom. Can you come home? Can you just anchor? And can you be, and from that anchored space, then see what comes through. But if you see what comes through without being anchored, then, we're in chaos. Yeah. So to answer that, well, I can't answer the question because I don't know the answer. But other than I'm assuming it was, just got into the collective psyche.
Got into the collective. It's a bit of a leftover. I mean, the Indigenous Australians are the same with the hidaki, the what they call the didgeridoo. Only the men are supposed to play it. The women aren't allowed to play it. I don't know where that comes from either, but I've seen plenty of women. I've got a few of them online now. You know who you are on Facebook, who play it. So, but in their traditional cultures, only the men are allowed to play it.
That's right, yeah.
And from patriarchal times, I'd say.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've just got to let all that go, haven't we? Like, not blame anyone. It's just where we were. But we're back, in terms of what I want to say rhythmically. We're back, baby. And that certainly is my mission. And that it's not just going boom, boom, boom. You're going boom, boom, boom so that you are amplifying a whole message out there. And when it's coupled with what can come in when you're anchored, then, it's a beautiful sonic, it's like a rewilding, like a sonic rewilding. That's the work that I do.
Beautiful. This has been
amazing.
No.
This is wonderful. This has been a beautiful night. It's been a beautiful ending for our month together, Karen. I'm going to miss you. It's been so fun. On the 21st, we did Galactic Goddesses Hearts Connect Across the Water. And that was just absolutely beautiful. And it's been beautiful to have this merging of all of these different energies coming together. And so I hope all of our Aussie and New Zealand friends will continue to join us on Mondays next month. We will move over to a whole new set of information, and Geraldine Orozco will be my co-host for the month. And so that's going, it's going to kind of switch it. This month, there was so much rhythm and so much depth of spirit and so much awakening energy that it was just beautiful, Karen. I want to thank you so much. It's been such an honor to work with you throughout the month. And Jane, it's been beautiful to have you tonight. It's just wonderful. And I hope you write a book. I can tell you, I know just from listening to you and the energy that you're bringing and the movement of how you're breaking the density in the body, that's really helped to up level my teachings with the drum. And so I'd love to learn more information that you have. So the articles that you spoke of, are they kind of like in a blog style on your website?
Look, they're all over the place. They've been published in different things. There is a brief one on my current website, but my new website, there's going to be a whole lot more.
Wonderful.
I've been sort of focusing on other things, but the website is the priority now. So now that I'm settled out here in Broken Hill, a lot of the writings and the music, bits of recording are coming together. So these next couple of months are going to, be a birthing into that.
How long ago did you permanently settle out there? Like, was it months, years?
December. So we've been renovating since then, turning an old shed into a beautiful studio space and a space for me, a drum making shed as well. So building and, it's been since December, it's just been pretty well that. So that's over basically because we've run out of money. And so now... for renovating, and so now it's back into all this. So this is perfect timing. I really appreciate the invitation.
It is perfect timing, isn't it? It was because somebody else that I had booked in couldn't make it because she's living in the Northern Rivers and their internet was not connected yet. So a sort of happy accident. Lots of love coming to you on the YouTube channels, and I don't know how Shen Des Grandes says that the heart is the drum. Yes, it is. The heart is the drum, the beating of the drum and the beating of the heart. And it's been a delight to co-host with you for the Wish Alliance Conscious Awakening Conversations, Sheila. And I've loved, bringing these galactic gals from down under into the awareness of your tribe. And just to remind people that I do this, I'm online every week with a group, but I do live streaming the same as this. I call it the Inner Sanctum. And I think you've been in the Inner Sanctum with us, Jane, as well as on the show.
I have indeed. Yeah. Yes, it was a great experience.
Yeah. And, I pick people from the shows. I'll pick about 12 or 15 a year to showcase in the Inner Sanctum. I don't work quite as hard as you on this as you do, Sheila. She does it twice a week. I do a show every week and I do a group every week and I do sessions and courses. But with the Inner Sanctum, I try and do it once. Sometimes we do twice a month. It depends. Sometimes I get a couple of people in a month. And we've got Jill Stein, who is a prenatal medium. So she speaks to incoming souls of people, usually pregnancy, people that are having a baby or thinking about having a baby will go to Jill and speak to the soul, just have a bit of a communication with that. And she's also a dragon master. We've had so much dragon energy happening because Rachel is a dragon master. I'm just hearing everyone talk about dragons in the last few months. So dragons are really present in our world at the moment. Well, they're in my world anyway. So she's coming up in June I do it on a Sunday morning, which is a Saturday afternoon in the US, depending on your time zone, Saturday evening, afternoon, in the inner sanctum. And it's just an email on the website for the Zoom link. I'll send you the Zoom link. Yeah, so Sheila, it's been beautiful. And thank you so much, Jane. It's been absolutely gorgeous. And thanks everybody who's on Zoom. Big love to you all.
Thank you guys so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. And Karen, do you want to mention your website just one more time real quickly for people?
Oh, yes, it's just my name, karenswain.com. Obviously, I do private sessions, channeling what I call very irreverently the mob, but the mob include, all the ascended masters and the galactic collectives and, anybody really. Once you establish connection with higher dimensions and higher frequencies, you can talk to anybody. Dead people who they're dead to us, but they're not dead. They say, don't call me dead, I'm not dead. But spirits, spirit guides, Arcturian collectives, Hathors, anyone, the mob. I just lump them all in and call it the mob. But the archangels and whoever needs to come to speak, they speak through me, to me. And I teach people how to connect to that as well. The courses that I do online are about connecting to your spirit guides or connecting to your higher self, raising your frequency enough. Because you know what? All of us are doing it all the time, aren't we, Jane and Sheila?
Yes.
We're all doing it all the time. It's just focusing in a way that allows you to be aware of that and just expanding that. And it's really easy. It's really easy. People think that you have to be special to do this work. And you know what? We're all special. We're all an extension of the source. So who in this world is not special if we're all God? I mean, really, this hierarchical understanding that we have as humans, he's better than me or worse than me, is just the illusion of separateness that we play with in this third dimension. And none of it is true. So when it comes to channeling higher frequencies or galactic frequencies or ascended masters or angels or anybody, anyone can do it and does do it. If you want to do it, you're already doing it. It's just being aware of that and allowing your frequency to strengthen that. Like you said, Jane, you sort of grounded before you established that connection to the higher frequencies. That's really very important to do that. Yeah. So yeah, we're all doing it all the time.
Yeah.
So thank you so much. And thank you again for being my co-host. Rachel, thank you for being our speaker last week. And Jane, thank you so much for being here with us tonight.
Thank you.
And next week, tune in, same time, when Geraldine will be my co-host for the entire month. And this Thursday, then we have Geraldine, Marina, Tia, and Phil, who will be presenting for us on Cosmic Conversations. So I look forward to seeing everyone. And until next week, namaste. Many blessings, everyone.
Bye,
Bye,
everybody.
beloveds.
Bye.
I love you. I love you.
Thank you, Karen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Good
Big
night,
love.
everyone.